And I want to give people advice on what is a very common problem with these EA888 engines. So I wanted to share with you an update on my car, because if you might not have heard, I had to have the thermostat replaced because of my coolant leak, which was pretty disappointing. But yeah, here it is, all working well. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It was an expensive fix, but I kind of had that in mind. I've owned this Mark 7 Golf R for about 5.5 years, and the two things I've kind of thought about in terms of stuff that's going to cost me some money was the thermostat housing leaking, and hey, mine's a 6-speed manual, so the clutch needed replacing, and it was replaced about 36,000 miles. My car is on about 42,000 miles. That's kind of what I had an idea for, so it was an expected cost that I felt it was just going to happen eventually. So before we go outside, and I'll show you what the coolant is looking like now, what actually happened and how did kind of like the day go. So I was pretty anxious, to be honest with you, because you don't know what the bill is going to be, and you don't know, some of the things that are going to happen. First of all, I noticed this in one of my updates, as I've mentioned before, and I've done a few updates of this. And one of the things that really worried me is, as I was sitting here, as you can probably see, like here, I would notice a little bit of steam coming out of the left. And I was like, well, that's a bit worrying, because the coolant is on the right. So yeah, I was a little bit confused, but then I was thinking, well, maybe it's not getting to the engine, so the engine's getting a little bit hot. I don't know, but it was all a little bit bizarre. I'll share a little bit of a breakdown of course, because I'm just a normal guy at the end of the day, and I want to give people advice on what is a very common problem with these EA888 engines. And actually, I spoke to one of the guys there, and he told me that they get 1 to 2 a week for the thermostat housing being replaced. And I said to him, is there anything I can do better to stop this from happening? Because, I look after this car, I baby this car, basically. It's my pride and joy. And I was like, is it anything like, does it get too hot? Should you not give it too much and all this stuff? And he literally said to me, there's nothing you can do. It's literally, it's just one of those things. It will leak. And which is really disappointing. So the thermostat housing needed replacing and the water pump needed replacing. So a breakdown of the cost, because I think a lot of people find that quite interesting. I'm actually in the Cotswolds at the moment, and yeah, it's pretty amazing here. Thermostat housing, £282 for the parts there. Water pump, £64. They found another issue, which was the smoke that I was mentioning, I believe, which was just next to the turbo. It was a union sealant and an adapter. Those were £9.84 and £4.72 respectively, but that was also causing problems. And then the antifreeze top up, it was £10.98. Parts alone, £372. For labour, it was £283, which is pretty much a whole day's work. VAT £131, so my total bill was £786.86. They gave it a little test drive, and checking under the engine bay, they actually looks like they gave the engine a bit of a clean, which is really, really cool, really, really nice of them. I'm pretty sure they did give it a wipe over. As soon as I took it back, I was like, oh no, the coolant's a little bit low. It's the first thing I saw. It was below the minimum line. I was like, okay, let's see what it's like in the morning. So, well, I took it out for another little drive, checked it in the evening, and it was then above, and then I was like, oh, what's going on here? Checked it again in the morning, and it was a little bit low. I asked SEC Performance, and they said it's likely just air escaping, so just let it settle, let it sort itself out. It's air in the system, don't worry. So I was like, I need to be better at learning to just sort of like trust the specialists, and I do trust them, to be honest with you, and I would recommend them. And lo and behold, I've driven up to the Cotswolds, and from where I am in Hertfordshire, and it's absolutely fine. Like it's above the minimum line, it's all happy, and I think it's just going to fluctuate a little bit, so I'll keep an eye on it as we kind of go along. But yeah, that's all sorted. It's a main issue for these EA888. I can't believe how many problems they get with this. I'll go outside and show you what it's looking like now. There we go. And a little bit of a clean. It's just below the minimum line, but I think that's just air escaping. I like to share my kind of thoughts on the car. This is probably the worst one that I've had. Actually, the most expensive repair I've had was the clutch. Happy it's sorted. Disappointed that the car has this issue. Disappointed that there's nothing I can do to stop it happening again. I think all the parts come with a year's warranty is what the guy was telling me. So if it does happen again, obviously I'm covered on that sense. Maybe not the labour side of things, but certainly the parts. Yeah, I'll be devastated if it happens again. But yeah, subscribe for plenty more content below, and comment below if you want to know anything more about this.